Hey guys, it's me, Metro Otaku Gamer here, and welcome back to another episode of the Retro Rebuild. This one is going to be very important because I feel like this is going to become a bit of a turning point in the series, and I will explain about that here later. But right now, I took a couple trips down to Seattle within the last couple weeks. Did some game hunting with my friends as well as by myself, and I ended up getting a lot of really great games that I will be sharing here later in this video, so stay tuned for that. There is well over 40 games that I've picked up within the last couple weeks, mostly from trades. From with Pink Gorilla, traded in a bunch of stuff, and I am super happy I did that. I ended up finding a lot of great retro games from PlayStation 2, PS1, DS. I even found one Vita game that I was looking for a long time that I'm super happy to have. They had so many great games down there. I visited all three of their stores, the one in International District, the one in Capitol Hill, as well as the University District. And then about a week after my solo trip, I went back down there with my friends and did the whole thing all over again, and it was a lot of fun. So what you see here is just some highlights from my trip. I forgot to film anything at the University District. It was mostly Capitol Hill and International, but I've shown off the University District store so many times. I feel like this time I should just show off the other two stores a lot more, give them some love, especially since Capitol Hill here is my favorite store. So, about a couple weeks ago, when I did my first solo trip, my primary goal was I was going to be getting rid of my PlayStation 5 and all the games that I had for PS4 and PS5, which honestly, reflecting back on that, I feel like that was a very smart decision because I had some personal reasons why I had to get rid of it, and I was able to not only relieve a lot of that personal stress that I was dealing with, but I ended up being really happy with that because I took all the store credit that I got for the games that I traded in, which was a lot, and I was able to get well over like 20 something games to add to my collection. And now that I'm just like done with modern game consoles, other than like I do want to get a Nintendo Switch 2, primarily for Xenoblade and some other Nintendo games. But since I'm done with modern PlayStation, I can now completely focus on building my dream retro game collection. And since I do have a gaming laptop now, thanks to a friend of mine, there are some modern games that I can get on that, which I have no problem with. But as for my physical game collection, it is now going to be true to the name of the series. It's going to be all about retro now. PS1, PS2, DS, even some Vita. There's maybe like a few Vita games out there that I want to get. I do want to get like an Xbox, a 360, a Wii, a Dreamcast, Game Boy Advance, and all that. And I'm really looking forward to the future of this series. This is going to be a huge milestone for me just now that I can focus on nothing but retro. Well, here are all my recent pickups that I got from a couple trips to Seattle within the last couple weeks, as well as some games that I got from Next Level, which is where I primarily have been getting a lot of my recent game pickups. And I got a lot. I got well over, well, I just got like right around little over 40 games to show off. Now, yes, a lot of these I obtained because I ended up selling off my PlayStation 5. I really needed to do that for personal reasons. And then I traded in a lot of my games in for store credit. And I was able to obtain a lot back. And now I can completely focus on building up my true retro game collection. Modern gaming is just something that is changing for the better or for the worse. Mostly for the worse with this old digital future that we are being pushed towards. And it's something I don't really want to be too a part of. Now, I did also obtain not too long ago something that I cannot wait to share with you guys. It is a gaming laptop. A good friend of mine was able to give me one. It's not the most powerful one, so I won't be able to play like some of the latest and greatest brand new AAA games. And at some point, I am planning on picking up a Nintendo Switch 2, primarily for the Xenoblade games, since I am a huge fan of that series. And I have with me some PS2 games, some DS games. I have one Vita game that I was able to find a Grail game. I'm going to save my Grails, the games that I had been looking for quite some time, towards the end. So I'm going to start off with this stack of disc-only games. Here, starting off with the first one that you see here, which is Rayman 2, The Great Escape. And then I have Rayman here. These are two of my all-time favorites that I grew up. And these are childhood classics that I am happy to have back in my collection for good this time. And I will eventually be trying to hunt down a case and manual for both of these games. Now, Rayman here, this is the greatest hits version, while Rayman 2 here, I believe this is just the black label version. I don't think I've can recall what the greatest hits disc for Rayman 2 looks like. I also have here Star Ocean: The Second Story, which I got from Next Level, and there's both discs here. Now, the two Rayman games, I got those at Pink Gorilla. I also got from Pink Gorilla Race Storm here. This is a classic PS1 shoot 'em up from it was published by Working Designs. I don't remember who the developer is, but this is a really fun shoot 'em up. Has an amazing soundtrack. The shoot 'em up genre in general just has some of the best soundtracks in gaming that I have ever heard. I really enjoy listening while playing shoot 'em ups. And speaking of shoot 'em ups, I also have here Gekio Shooting King. Now, this one I never played before, and I did recently play it, and I beat it. So, you'll be hearing my full thoughts on this on a future backlog beatdown video, which may or may not be coming out soon. Really happy to have both of these games here. I was able to find those both at Capitol Hill, which is where one of the Pink Gorilla's video game stores is at. And then from Next Level, I picked up a greatest hits copy of Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon, which is another one of my childhood favorites. Absolutely love Spyro 3. I've beaten it multiple times. And now I have a bunch of PS2 games here. Picked up Black and Bruised. Now, I got this after watching a review from CGR Undertow, and I thought that this would be a fun boxing game to play with friends. I also got another fighting game here. This is Soul Calibur 3. Also got Pac-Man World 3, a really fun 3D action platformer. And then I have quite a few Capcom games here, starting off with a couple of Onimusha games. Got Onimusha Warlords and Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny. Now, this was unintentional, but now that I have these and I have Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, I now just need Onimusha 3 Demon Siege and Onimusha Blade Warriors. And then I will have all of the Onimusha games on the PlayStation 2, which that was a subset I wasn't really intending on going for, but I might as well now that I have like almost all of them. Then I picked up Okami, because I originally had Okami CIB on PlayStation 2, and I ended up trading it because I wanted the HD version on PlayStation 4. But now that I'm no longer collecting for PlayStation 4 or 5, I was lucky and I found a disc-only copy for PlayStation 2. And then lastly, for all of the stack of loose games, I got Mega Man X8 and X7. And I also have some DS games here that I got loose. Now, probably won't be able to see that, but this is Need for Speed Carbon Own the City, which is the follow-up to Need for Speed Carbon on the PlayStation 2. I also got Need for Speed Pro Street. Mega Man ZX. Kirby Squeak Squad. As well as Bust-A-Move DS. Really happy to have some more DS games, because I am collecting for DS more than 3DS, because since my 3DS is modded, I can play all those 3DS games that I want without really having the need for a physical copy. But I'd rather have a physical DS collection. Now, I have here some PS1 games. Starting off with Pipe Dreams 3D. Now, it is missing the manual. This was by far the cheapest game that I've picked up. But this is one that I played as a kid. This is a puzzle game where you lay down different shaped pipes and you're trying to lead this green ooze to the end of the level. So there's a drain that will appear after a certain period of time, and you have to try and place down the pieces in such a way where the ooze will be able to flow freely to the drain without it spilling out. It's a really fun game. Now the premise of it might not sound that fun, but once you get into it and you get like pretty good at it, you will really enjoy it. Trust me, this is a really fun game. It's a lot more fun than it sounds. I also picked up another game from my childhood, Blaster Master Blasting Again. This is a 3D action adventure game set in the Blaster Master universe, where you play as the son of Jason, who was the main protagonist. Sorry about that. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, you get to play as his son, or I think it's Roddy or Brody. I think it's Brody. And yeah, this game is also a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to sharing more about this game in the future. I want to potentially do a video on games that defined my childhood. I feel like that would be really great for not only nostalgic reasons, but just so you guys can get a little bit more insight on who I was when I was younger. Yeah, and then the last PS1 game here is Strikers 1945. This is another shoot 'em up, and this is another really fun shoot 'em up. And then I've played multiple different versions of it. I played it on the PlayStation 4 via the Psycho Shooting Library. I played an arcade cabinet. I played it on my Nintendo 3DS via a PS1 emulator. I also played it, well, actually, can't remember if there was any other versions of it that I played it on. But I now have a physical copy on PlayStation 1. Super excited to dive into that version. Now I have this huge stack of PS2 games to go through. Starting off with PsyOps: The Mindgate Conspiracy. This is a game that was highly recommended by multiple people, and I got lucky. I was able to find this copy last week when I went to Pink Gorilla. It was part of a trade-in. It was not processed yet, but when I went there just a couple days ago with my friends, a good friend of mine picked this up for me, and I am now really happy to have this in my collection. It is missing the manual, which I could probably find easily, but super excited to have this. This is a bit of a hidden gem on the PlayStation 2. And he also picked up a copy of Tony Hawk's Project 8 for me. I have been getting into some skateboarding games lately. I have another Tony Hawk game to show off here shortly. This is also missing the manual, but it was like super cheap, under $10. So, huge shout out to my friend for picking those up for me. And then I've got Jurassic the Hunted. This is a first-person shooter where you are going after a bunch of dinosaurs. There's from the premise that I've heard, I watched a review of it on YouTube. So you and a bunch of dinosaurs and some weapons from different time periods are like transported to this mysterious island, and you have to defend yourself against the dinosaurs. So super excited to get into that. Now this game I've heard nothing about. I don't know if it's any good. This is Kokoto Fishing Master. I don't know why I wanted to pick up a fishing game all of a sudden, but I just did. I also got Need for Speed Carbon, which I believe I mentioned in my last Retro Rebuild video. Excuse me there. This is CIB. And after 20 long years, I finally have this back in my collection. I haven't had a copy of Need for Speed Carbon in quite some time. Actually, this is my first time actually owning it. The first time I had it, I was actually borrowing a copy from a friend of mine. Got here Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, which is funny because it's a black label case with a greatest hits disc. So I now just need a manual for it. I am going to keep it as the greatest hits version just to make it feel more unique. I got here Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil, which is CIB. Super happy to have this. I beat the first Klonoa game, but I never beat the second one. I have Reckless, the Yakuza missions, also CIB. Got my very first SSX game, which is SSX on Tour. I've been wanting to get into the series because of Metal Jesus. He has been hyping up this series for years, and I'm super happy to finally have one. Now, it's not SSX 3 or SSX Tricky, which are the ones that he always recommends, but hopefully this one will be just as good. I haven't really heard much about this game, but I'm happy to have this CIB. I was able to find that at my local game store, Next Level Games. Now, moving on, I have RLH, Run Like Hell. This is a survival horror shooter game where you are being chased by, like, aliens or something. This one is missing the manual. I don't really know much about this game. I heard about it years ago, but I don't really remember much about it. If anybody has ever played any of these games, especially the ones where I have already mentioned that I haven't played before, please let me know in the comment section down below. I would like to know more about them. Like, another game that I haven't played before is this one, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Battle Nexus. Now, I just need the other two that were based around the 2003 animated series, which is what I grew up with. Those are my favorite versions of the Ninja Turtles. And I feel like this is going to be a fun 3D beat-em-up to play with friends. So, really happy to have that. I was also able to find a CIB copy of EOE Eve of Extinction. This is another PS2 action game that I don't really know much about. Never heard anybody really talk about it, so I don't know if it's like considered a hidden gem or anything. And also, this game is CIB. And then the last two for that stack, got Taito Legends 2, one of the best compilation games on the PlayStation 2. It has all sorts of shoot-em-ups, as well as some other games. There's like Dungeon Magic, Darius Gaiden, Puzzle Bobble 2, Space Invaders DX, Cleopatra Fortune, Liquid Kids, Elevator Action Returns, Gun and Frontier, Space Invaders 95. There's Arabian Magic, Bronze Adventure, Fairyland Story, all sorts of different games here in this compilation. And there's much more from what I read into that isn't listed on the back here. But there is a metric crap ton of games. Super happy to have this. And it's also multiplayer. There are some games where you can play with friends. And then the last game in that stack is Mercenaries 2 World in Flames, which is also CIB. Now moving on to the Grails. These are games that I have been on the hunt for quite some time. Only a couple of these I actually had in my collection years ago, but I do not have them anymore until now. Starting off with Magna Carta Tears of Blood. I had the big box version of this that came with a art book as well as a poster. I still have the poster, but I do not have everything else. But I'm super happy to have this, even though it's disc only. I have been hunting down this game for quite some time now, ever since I stupidly got rid of my other copy that I had, which was more complete than this one. But I don't mind that it's disc only. I will take whatever I can get for this game. So really happy to have that. I also have here on the DS, this is Contact. This is a JRPG from Atlas as well as Marvelous Entertainment. Was able to find this at the International District Pink Gorilla store. Really happy to have this. Paid nothing for it out of pocket because I had a bunch of store credit to burn. A lot of what I picked up was due to just me having a lot of store credit. Now, I can finally say I finally have Muramasa Rebirth here on the PlayStation Vita. This is the only Vita game that I've picked up over the last who knows how long since I last picked up a Vita game. And this is going to be one of the very few Vita games that I'm actually going to own physically. I have been wanting a copy of this ever since I got my PlayStation Vita. I originally wanted the Wii version, which is Muramasa the Demon Blade. But now that I have a PlayStation Vita, I finally have Muramasa Rebirth, and I am diving into it. I love the Vanillaware games, as much as I also love the Metal Slug games. I have here Metal Slug Anthology, and this is a super minty CIB copy. Super happy to have this. I grew up playing the Metal Slug games. I had this particular one on PlayStation 2 before. I also had the Wii version of Metal Slug Anthology. I did have the full series on digitally on my PlayStation 5, and when I got rid of my PlayStation 5, I wanted to have at least one Metal Slug game to be able to play physically. And now I have about 7 of them, because this includes Metal Slug 2, Metal Slug X, which is an enhanced version of Metal Slug 2, Metal Slug 3, which is my all-time favorite, Metal Slug 4, 5, and 6. And now I would just like to find a copy of Metal Slug 7 for the DS. And the last Grail, a game that I wanted for the last couple decades, finally have it, thanks to Next Level Games for having a copy of it in stock and it is CIB, and that is Ape Escape Pumped and Primed. This is the only Ape Escape game on the PlayStation 2 that I have never played. Until recently, I did start playing. I started playing the story mode. This is kind of a party game with a story. There are boss fights, like traditional style 3D platformer-esque boss fights. It's a party action game with all sorts of different mini games where you're fighting off against 3 other opponents. You can play up to 4 players, but it does require a PlayStation 2 multi-tap. It's cel-shaded, and unfortunately, the sequel to this game, Ape Escape Million Monkeys, which was more of an action platformer akin to like the Ratchet and Clank games, never made it out of Japan. I am hunting down a Japanese copy of that, and hopefully someday I will be able to play it. I want to make a video on that game alongside this one, since they are connected, and they are the only 2 cel-shaded Ape Escape games that I know of. And what makes this game also unique is that here in America, it was published by Ubisoft and not Sony Entertainment America, which is weird. But it's also very different from a traditional Ape Escape game. And I'm so happy to finally have this. And that is it. Those are all my pickups. That is over 40 games that I have added to my collection. So many great games. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. I'm Mecha Otaku Gamer, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.